Morning. So I'm out here with my Bradford pears. I chopped the top half of these trees off in another video, and I wanted to show you how the grafts are doing. Come join me in the chaos. So these are about 40 feet tall. And if you know anything about Bradfords, 40 feet tall with a trunk this thin. I don't think they've ever been pruned. So I'm glad I cut them back because they would have just been a hazard. But anyway, cut those down, grafted into them, and I have buds breaking all over the place, which is a really good sign. So lots of small buds on these ones. But let me show you some of these ones are barely waking up too. Looks like every single one of these was successful. One of them has much bigger shoots than the others though, this one. I'm not really exactly sure why, but something about what I did on this one, and it could have just been the varieties, because I had 4 different types of scion. So it could be that, geez, these are just the same type of scion, and that particular type of scion is more vigorous. In which case, maybe I'll want to mark these and remember which one is most vigorous. But we'll see how they perform. But yeah, look at that growth on those. And I just grafted these. I had to double check on the date stamp. That's why I like making these videos, because then I can kind of go back and reflect on when I made these and have notes for the next time I do something like this. I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Yeah, pretty good growth. This one I used tape on. I was kind of experimenting with tape, without tape. So it's barely experimental, more anecdotal at this point, with only, sample size of like 6 or 7. But for some reason, the ones I used tape on, where I reinforced the graft union, just so the bark wouldn't pull away in case a bird landed on them, those ones don't really seem, the buds have swollen a little bit, but they're just not pushing all the way. So it could just be that they're trying to form that graft union. It could also be that there's not a nurse branch that's sending nutrients up higher, so it's struggling to get to convince the rootstock to send nutrients to those graft unions, those I guess you call them implants. It's similar to like if you were to have surgery and have a new organ transplant or something like that. You have to convince the body that that's part of your body, or that these grafts are part of the tree. So my guess is sometimes the tree chooses to believe that it's not part of it. Oh yeah, this particular one I chose not to put paint on. I was doing an experiment to see if these ones would do better. And that bud fell off. So I think if this dries out too fast, the graft will also fail, because it basically turns off the cambium to there so it doesn't bleed out. So I'm hoping this one stays, because this one had a bunch of branches that I left. So on this one I wanted to leave a lot of nurse branches, but the problem is I might have left too many nurse branches. And so the tree is like, hey, why bother with all this weird stuff that's happening here when we have plenty of leaves up here? So this might not be the best strategy, but again, it's still pretty early. I'll give it the rest of the year to find out which of these different strategies I'm experimenting with works the best for grafting Bradford pears. And then on this one, I left this branch right here, because I was thinking I might do like a whip and tongue graft if those bark grafts failed. So I could probably do whip and tongue on this one too. What that basically means is that I just cut into this branch, and then I stick in a similarly sized desirable pear into that branch. Although this branch appears to be dead, so I would probably, obviously pick a branch that's not dead. I just wanted it closer to the ground so the fruit's not too high up. This one has some pretty good suckers coming up here. Once those get a little bit bigger, I'll probably thin them if necessary. They actually look fine the way they are, because I just don't want them growing inward, but growing outward should be fine. That's such a beautiful morning. They're definitely swollen. Look how big those buds are. They just haven't decided to open up yet. Yep, that one's just starting to open up. So that's what the buds look like when they first decide that they're gonna start opening up, emerging some green. Oh, that's such a beautiful sight when you're grafting. So comment on that for me if you've done some grafting, the smile it puts on your face when you realize your buds are breaking and your graft is actually sending nutrients. That just means the tree's accepted that transplant, which is a wonderful thing. Because if it doesn't accept that, it could die, you know, because it needs to perform that photosynthesis. It needs to be taking sunlight and doing something with it. Otherwise, the tree is going to slowly run out of nutrients and just starve to death. So some right here, some right here. Yay! That's wonderful. So that's how you bark graft. Well, if you want more information on bark grafting, watch my other video, but that's the results early in the season of bark grafting on a Bradford pear. So I'll do an update if it, you know, has significant improvement over the season. And if it completely fails, I'll do an update on that just so you can know what not to do, because I'm betting some of these, since I tried multiple different strategies, some of them might work better than others. Thanks for joining me in the chaos.